Could there be something big that I'm missing on BigBear.AI's stock chart? So for BBAI stock, I want to take a look at a little bit of zoomed out view, if you will, thanks to a comment that I got yesterday on my video. It said, how could you miss this thing? I said, honestly, I was too zoomed in. I was looking too close, looking at the current movement and forgetting to take that big zoomed out view of where exactly we could go from here. Wait until you see the technical pattern that we could potentially be filling out sometime in the near future and the price target that goes along with it. Also, I'm going to give an update on Block Inc. Wait until you see the technicals on that one as well, because I think for one of my best stocks to buy now for Q3 2025, that we could be in a pretty exciting time. And so we'll look at the technicals for that as well and the potential movement that could signal a longer term trend. And then I want to give an update on Bitcoin and XRP in this video as well. Just a short one here towards the end, and I think you're really going to appreciate the things that I have to say and the things that I have to show you for the crypto space as well, according to the two of those. Like, once again, Bitcoin and XRP. And guys, I'll be covering more of this over at the Discord. Links in the description, code word doctor. Let's jump right into the charts. So the very first thing, let me put this up here for you, and in my little monitor that I see right here, the pattern looks pretty darn obvious that you see this nice little cup coming down here, a nice little handle trailing off of it, and it's like, Doc, how could you miss it? Well, honestly, I was doing this. There we go. I was looking at this. Again, I was talking about the near-term price action that we're seeing, and because that was really the focus of the video yesterday was, well, what can we tell from the movements that we have? What evidence do we have that we could potentially move higher? And I think I did a good job of covering that. But in doing so, we call that being myopic or nearsighted as well. You can see these here glasses on my face. I am, well, by my own nature, nearsighted. So zooming back out, and that's why it's nice to have that community around you, whether it's in the comments here or it's over at the Discord, to point out things that we might otherwise miss. So what we see volume-wise and also price action-wise is a breakout on the left-hand side of this, a period of consolidation in between where you have that low volume mixed, and then you can start to see that slow accumulation through the volume here before that next breakout took place, and then a lower volume trailing off, if you will, through this handle right here, which happens to be a short-term bear channel, and we are actually trading up above that. What we're missing is the real breakout moment that we see, and if you go back to yesterday's video and think about what I said that we have some indecisiveness and we could be looking for a continuation based off of this candle that we got yesterday. So I talked about green candle up here. So let me change that color for you. We'll make it green. And then that could signal that we're going to continue that move upward. And then also we want to talk about down here, if we get the price action down here instead, and I'll color that red for you, that could say that we're going to move down instead. We are up above the 5 and 13 and 50 EMAs and also up above the 200. RSI down at 64, that's perfect for bullishness. RSI 64 for weekly, and then monthly here at 65. So even though the market's going to open in about 45 minutes here from when I record this, this is still very worthwhile information, because if we hit that cup and handle pattern, if we get that true breakout moment, I said $10 to $15 was my range. This happens to be right sweetly in that range at $13.40 for BigBear.AI. Now, mind you, from a technical standpoint, it would really help us out if the market were to pump off of this. There's a few things that I want to be careful for. One is the background environment that we find ourselves in right now. We're in a bit of a risk-on environment, but the markets are awfully toppy right now, and we haven't really seen any sort of true pullback recently for the NASDAQ 100, for the S&P 500, even for the Russell 2000 stocks. We really haven't seen that pullback moment where we go back and we retest a floor. And when we haven't tested the floor for a while, then that makes me nervous as, okay, well, how solid is our footing right now? And so since we haven't tested it to find out, that's the part that I'm like, that's uncertainty for me. That makes me a little bit nervous. So that's the background environment that we're looking at. And also, if you go back the past couple of years for the S&P 500, whether in the middle of July or at the end of July through 2023, 2024, and now we're in 2025, those past 2 years is where you actually had a pretty darn good rise during the first half or through the month of July, followed by a trailing off going into the end of July or going into August. And with us not testing the floor for a while, that is something that makes me just a little bit nervous during this time is, okay, well, when does that floor test come in? Is it going to be catalyzed by some of the Q2 earnings that we have coming out? We're going to have to watch and see. But assuming that the background market bias stays strong for us, that really does help things out. Now, the next consideration is government contracts or commercial contracts, whatever it happens to be. We want to see those numbers. Show me the money is the big thing that we're shouting. And we want to see evidence that that money's coming our way, something to recatalyze the stock price and really continue that volume pump that we've seen so far during the most recent peak, with a small taper. Now, mind you, we still have evidence of accumulation over time, especially with those elevated volumes. And I really want to see further confirmation outside of just the technicals. I want to see further background in the technicals from the markets. I want to see the further movement. I want to see further good signs from the economic reports, from what we get from the earnings reports. That's also going to help things out. But the biggest thing is specific to BigBear.AI itself, which is further investment from whether it's government agencies or maybe even some broadening out into the commercial space. That big news is going to be something that really, really does push things. And we can watch for some pre-volume movement, if you will. When I say pre-volume, what I mean is that there's unexplained volume spikes that happen that don't really have a technical explanation for us. They don't really have a newsworthy explanation for us, because usually that's followed by, and we saw it with NVIDIA back at about 118,000. I'm sorry, my goodness, I'm thinking Bitcoin, about $118 per share, that we saw some pretty crazy movement take place, some volume spike that really had no news to go with it. And then next thing you know, some big news hit, and now we're up over $170 per share, which actually exceeded my price target on that. Guys, let's get back into the charts. But so for BigBear.AI, we want to watch for that news moment to happen, and that cup and handle pattern. Yeah, it's a bit deep on this thing, but for highly volatile stocks like a penny stock like BigBear.AI, a pre-profit company, where you would normally want to see like a 15 to 30% decline to make that cup from the peak, something like this could validate a little bit more why we would see such a drawdown over time. And I did only measure to the lower side of the cup, as is pretty natural. For this, you can measure to the higher side. That's going to give us more of the $15 to $16 range. So just so you know, that's on the low side of things, and that's typically what I do for cup and handle patterns, and that usually works out a little bit better for filling those price targets. All right, over to Block Inc. for this one. So this is the monthly chart that we're looking at, ticker symbols XYZ, and I put this out before in my best stocks to buy now for Q3 2025, and we've actually had a really nice run so far. You can see the long wicks that we're getting off the bottom of this. You can also see on here, I don't want to stretch it out too much because I want you to see the foundation that we find ourselves on, whether we go all the way back to 2018 up through 2020, or that we fast forward until we get to June of 22 up until present. We keep on getting buying pressure that shows up under $60 per share. And then these last couple months, so April and into May, once again, the buying pressure came in under $60 per share. We find ourselves back above it. And the one thing I want to show you, I want to squish this down so you can see a little bit more of that density. So in here, maybe stretching out, maybe that's the best view. There's no real pivot lines in here, nothing really significant in between that stops this free rise or free fall. And right now we happen to be on the rising cycle. We're up above the 13 month, the 5 month, it's on here. We're down below the 50. So still in that downtrend on this, but we could pop up to as much as $83 per share and still stay within this channel. And right now we're almost at 70. So that's a 20% climb from where we find ourselves. And that could happen over the next several months. The RSI at 47.90, and rising, by the way. So if we go back to June of 22 to present, we have rising momentum throughout this time with price action that doesn't quite match it yet. We could be crossing into bullish territory anytime soon. That would be a very long-term trend on that. So dropping out to the weekly chart on this, we're about at 54, and we have bullish momentum this, retesting that 54 momentum and now pushing back up. And if we look at the moving averages, we got the 513 cross, and look at the price action that happened during that time once we got that 5 and 13 cross. So from the close here, the week that we got that cross, so that close happened to be at about 61. Now we're at about 69 for that one. So that nice climb that we got, we'll just round it down to $7 for this. Yeah, I know you could say 8, but we'll call it 7 just to underestimate. So we got over a 10% climb, even with an underestimate. And our price action is up above the 50 week on this, with the 5 nearly crossing the 50. That's another bullish sign that we're looking at. So in the next week or two, we could see that. The 13 over 50 is even bigger for this. This, I think, is a pretty great pick for Q3 for 2025. And if we drop out here to the daily chart, we actually have the 13 over the 50, and that happened all the way back here. 5 and 13 both over the 50, 5 and 13 over the 200 EMA. Getting the 50 to cross that as well is going to be absolutely huge. We could be seeing that golden cross moment. There's what it looks like for the 20, 50, and the 200 for simple moving average. we could be hitting up here around 71, which is near our price action right now. Getting above that could cause a very, very big snapping effect upward, if you will. So we broke over the 200 EMA, didn't quite make it to the 200 SMA, came back down, retested, and actually we're trading once again above. We retested the 20, the simple moving average, and now we're trading back above the 200. We're making that next climb on this thing with that momentum pushing. I will say from a fundamental standpoint that growth is one of those things. The growth metrics just aren't quite there. It's not a good enough PEG ratio to really make this thing go astronomical. And there's plenty of competition in the fintech space, such as SoFi, which I think if we don't get stopped out too hard around $22, could show us $24 in the very near future. I'm going to have to include some SoFi coverage very soon in my channel. I'm actually waiting for that next major moment where we start to see that next rampant climb from where we're at right now. Maybe it comes around their earnings around the end of the month. We're going to have to watch and see. But ticker symbol XYZ for Block Inc. I think we have a lot of evidence to say that this thing could be making a 20% climb in the near future. Guys, I'm going to share technicals like this and more over at the Discord. Links in the description. Code word doctor when you sign up for the earner tier. Join the whole team of experts and the 1,000 community members that are over there already, ready to help you in your journey towards building alpha in your portfolio and helping you find financial freedom. And guys, it is an entire ecosystem that you have pretty much everything that you would ever need over in that Discord to help support you in that journey. There's some coursework as well through Stockholm Academy for technical analysis, like you see here, along with technical trading, and also the options course as well. Bundle them, use code word doctor with whichever combination of courses you choose, and that's going to save you a ton of cash as well. Guys, let's get into Bitcoin XRP, and we'll wrap this thing up for you, put a bow on it. So Bitcoin back down around 118,000. So I talked about this price action that we see up here, and that we have to sit on top of 122,462. We just haven't done it. Getting rejection off the bottom of this. I talked about these three lines that are up here and how they're absolutely massive for seeing a further price climb. Well, yesterday we saw it peak out right at 120,086, which happens to be just barely south of this resistance area that's up here. It's huge for us to get up above it. We're sitting on top of the 5-day. We want to hold it. Momentum declining back into bullish territory. In the meantime, we want to keep the $117,000 per BTC. 117.23 is actually the number that we're looking at for that specifically. And you guys can see that we got a really nice long wick off the bottom of that thing, putting us back above the 5 EMA during that time. So for XRP, this one peaked out almost like 1 cent shy of its, not the most recent all-time high, but the one before that, the very early one that we got at $3.31. Then we waited for a really long time for this thing to triple in price, hit 340 as the most recent all-time high. We came within 10 cents of that all-time high, within 1 cent of the all-time high that was previous to that one, and a nice green candle on that with some fairly overbought indicator here for the RSI, but we have some nice volume moves with it as well. This thing might just test out where the floor is and cool things off a little bit before running. I still think that our price target for this thing for the descending wedge comes out to about $3.83. We could see this thing hit as high from the previous all-time high price target. Well, that was included in that. This next movement could show us that $4.63 if we don't see it come out now, meaning during this most recent run. I think still by the end of 2025, we have that nearly $5 price tag coming out for XRP, even if it does have to cool off a little bit in the near term. So guys, those are the technicals that I have to share with you. Let me know what you think about that cup and handle. Is it far too deep to actually even count? Has it been invalidated? Or is it something that's alive and well and is going to show us something between $10 and $15, $13.40 being that price target? Let me know down in the comments. And then what about block? Are we going to hit that 20% stride? Is it going to be something that has a bullish reversal for us and really starts to put out those numbers, maybe with their next earnings, that they tell us that the growth is back for Block Inc. We're going to have to watch and see. Certainly the background environment in crypto could be something that helps them out as well. So for Bitcoin, for XRP, Bitcoin, by the way, my price target on that is 150. Are we going to hit it during this run? Is it going to happen by the end of 2025 like I think it will? Once again, let me know down in the comments. XRP, is it going to fall on its face, or is it the transaction layer of crypto where you're really going to see Bitcoin being that thing that serves mostly as collateral for institutions and companies abroad and in governments as well, with XRP being that medium, if you will, that transacting medium between the different currencies that are out there, whether cryptocurrencies, fiat currencies, you name it. Is XRP going to have that major demand spike over time, which is just going to keep on spiking up that price outpacing the dilution that we know that is there as that XRP gets released onto the market pretty much monthly, about $1 billion per month. Are we going to be able to outpace that? I'd love to hear from you down in the comments. Otherwise, guys, see you over at the Discord. Take advantage of that coursework. Remember your code word doctor when you sign up for the earner tier or for those courses. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning. We'll see you next video.